Hey, everybody. Welcome to the newest edition of Think Suburbia, the podcast of the Suburban Virginia Republican Coalition. We've had a brief hiatus, and we're very happy to get back to greeting you again. So welcome, and I'd like to introduce my co-host, Mary, another one of the co-founders of SUVGOP with myself, Mary Campbell.
Thanks. Morning, Jill. Today we are delighted to have with us Greg Moulthrop, who is a new candidate running in the 87th House of Delegates. Greg, good morning and welcome. We're delighted to have you with us today, and we look forward to learning about why you have chosen to get involved in politics. You have indicated that this is the first time that you have run and that you do not want to be the career politician. So can you tell us a little bit about your district and why you chose to get involved in politics?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for having me, everybody. Like I said, I'm not a politician. I never planned to be one. It's a joke between my wife and I, but it's actually based in facts, where I told her after we went to the school board meeting to fight for our kids, and they're trying to salvage their school year when it was closed, and it was distance learning, hybrid learning, all sorts of different things other than the schools being open. I said to her, it would be easier for me to run for office, write school choice legislation, get it passed in the House, magically passed in the Senate and signed into law by a Republican governor, than to get the school board to do anything. And she laughed at it. And the next day, I sent in my paperwork to be a candidate for the House of Delegates. But the serious note of it is just looking at the state of politics and how there's so many people out there doing so much pandering and fights about you're racist, you're hateful, you're communist, you're fascist, and none of that being based in any sort of facts or being productive at all in helping to improve the economy or the schools or individuals' lives at all. So me, the way that I describe myself as an economist, an entrepreneur, and a parent, that's the tagline that I use, because those three things are what I think Virginia needs right now. And because I've got the means, the ability, and the drive to run for office and actually do some public good, I just felt like it was the right time. We didn't have anybody running for the seat on the Republican side to oppose the incumbent.
So can you tell us, can I break in for 1 second, and for our listening audience, can you describe your district and describe who the incumbent is and what geographical area it encompasses?
Yeah, so the incumbent is Suhas. I can't pronounce his last name, but it goes from 30% of Prince William County, the Haymarket area up towards Gainesville, then down to Aldie, Stone Ridge, South Riding a little bit, all the way to Dulles Town Center, following Loudoun County Parkway. So Dulles Airport's part of the district, and most of the data centers are in the district as well.
Oh, that's an interesting mix.
Yeah.
Wow. So a little bit about your background is in economics and supply chain management, specifically pharmaceutical supply. That's kind of important these days with the world of COVID and talking about pharmaceutical companies and supplies and shortages, et cetera, et cetera. How does that figure into to your experience? How can you use that?
Well, the district is based out. It's got a lot of light industrial businesses in the district around Loudoun County Parkway and Dulles Airport, like I mentioned. We're also a stone's throw away from 95, and there's rail systems around the area, not necessarily in the district, but close to us. So when it comes to supply chain management, being able to help improve our manufacturing and our light industrial businesses and make the 87th district a very productive hub for Virginia, because I don't think that we're using all of our resources very effectively when it comes to making Virginia a business-friendly state, or producing as much as we could be to keep our taxes low and on individuals, and our output high, exporting goods to other states or internationally even. So I did work on helping to stand up the national stockpile for Virginia, based out of Richmond, and trying to help the manufacturers that are down in Richmond bring some of that warehousing up to Loudoun County in our district, so that we could be a important piece of the whole national drug supply chain for the next national emergency or pandemic or epidemic, so that we have the ability to produce, warehouse, ship drugs wherever they're needed, quickly, efficiently, safely. And right now, unfortunately, COVID has shown all of the deficiencies that I've been talking about for over 20 years now, that are risks to our supply chain. So at least now there's an interest in resolving a lot of those issues that could make us better off.
Excellent, perfect timing and perfect location for this. Really, I mean, that's a very unique qualification you have for this particular area. Mary, you had another question.
Yes, Greg, I'd have to tell you, I've seen many candidates out there, and I'm very impressed with how prepared you are to represent your district well. So first of all, thank you for running. I noticed that you call yourself a serial entrepreneur. This is a term I was not familiar with. Many of your constituents may not be familiar either. So would you tell us what you mean by that term, and how you think that your background has prepared you to be an excellent representative for your district?
Well, as a serial entrepreneur, it's after you start your first business and you get the startup buzz, and you want to do it again and again and again, you embark on multiple projects and have a lot of interests. So my first business, just like starting off in this race, I was told time and time again that what you're doing is crazy. You've got a higher chance of failing than succeeding in your business. 95 or 80 whatever percentage of startups fail in the first year. And I leapt into it without a safety net. I made it my full-time job and gave it my full-time attention, and put a lot of my own money into it, and had to get volunteers, business partners, give them equity for future value. And this is kind of like the same thing. A lot of people are saying you're crazy for jumping into politics. You are in a district that you can't win, and there's no ROI in this for you. But I think that people are wrong. It's it might have been at first a long shot for me to win, but then when people finally get to know me and understand that there's the entrepreneurial mindset, the business qualifications that I have, the history that I have of actually doing work, not talking about work, because I just, talk is cheap, action is priceless. So, in order to make any sort of difference, it takes action, and I'm just incapable of just talking. A lot of businesses that fail, all they do is marketing, 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 marketing. Get out there, promote, and then they're like, "Oops, we forgot to build the product." So I'm not going to let that happen, and I'm fully invested in this, like I fully invest in all my businesses, and I'm going to make the most of it. And I've got plenty of ideas that I can turn into action, plenty of resources that I can leverage. One of my businesses, my business partner and I have invested heavily into combating human trafficking, specifically sex trafficking.
Yes.
And my business partner, he helped develop a small program called Napster back in the day. And he sold his business to Google and Facebook, another business to Facebook. He's knocked it out of the park a whole bunch of times, and he's really big into artificial intelligence, machine learning. And we combined our efforts to figure out how to detect when there's a transaction taking place where a woman or child reported missing has might be sold into sex slavery. And we use satellites, infrared technology, blockchain, Bitcoin, the cryptocurrencies to detect those transactions. And in our lab tests, we've got that down to 45 minutes of recovery time instead of 30 or 60 or however many days it takes.
Wow.
For the police to
Impressive.
find somebody.
That is
Very
that's
impressive.
very, my goodness, I would never connect AI and any of that with detecting sex trafficking. That is amazing.
Yeah, Glenn Young can, without me having talked to him about my business, he picked up the issue as well. So just those sort of circumstances where together he and I can actually help move the needle on snuffing out sex trafficking, which is a surprisingly large problem for Virginia, mainly Fairfax County, but Loudoun County, my district, is just arm's length away from that.
Actually, it is Fairfax County. There was an incident right here in my town where I live several years ago of that very problem in McLean, Virginia. So it does occur here. That kind of a good segue. This is the first time in a long time we have fielded 100 candidates for the House of Delegates. We have filled every position, and we have a great statewide ticket. I was actually going to mention that Glenn has been talking about sex trafficking as one of his issues. So how do you figure the great field and the unity with our top three in the ticket? How do you figure that into your strategy, to all work together to sort of use that synergy?
I am absolutely willing, able, and currently helping out any of my counterparts in other districts, and happy to leverage my connections to corporate America CEOs. There's some people out there that are saying out-of-state money is bad, special interest money is bad. I'm out there saying, sorry, buddy, you're wrong. You've got to beat the Democrats at their own game.
Absolutely.
Virginia is not the old adage, all politics are local, is not true this year. Virginia is a national election. Decisions are going to be made in Congress on how much is going to get rammed down our throats if Virginia doesn't flip. And I remind people that no matter what state you live in, you're going to be affected by that. So don't just door knock and try to do grassroots fundraising. If you've got a brothers, cousins, uncles, twice removed, reach out to them and ask them if they can introduce you to CEO, whoever, and sit down with them, find what their pressure point is, and leverage it and ask for donations from them. And if you need help, ask for help. I'm happy. Most of the corporations that I've been talking to will not donate to just one candidate. It's too small of an ask for them. So they want the people that I'm talking to want to fund multiple candidates. So I find the multiple candidates that align with my side of the issues, that align with the corporation that I'm talking to make it actually something that they would donate to. Otherwise, if it's too far removed, the strategy falls apart. So having that many candidates is that many opportunities for us to bring in big money this year, and it would be a terrible misstep for us to waste that opportunity and win as many seats that we can.
Greg, in relation to that, anyone who has been following what has been going on in the state of Virginia over the last year and a half under this 100% Democrat rule, it's actually shocking. We don't have a lot of time to talk about this, but as you want to be a delegate and change things, is there one bill or piece of legislation that was passed that you think was the most alarming, that would maybe be one of the first things that you would want to work toward? I know that's a hard question because there are so many issues out there that are of great concern.
Well, the one that comes to mind immediately is the one. So taking a step back, I want to restore the debate around Democrats and governments to big government versus small government, the role of government, what they should do, shouldn't do, and the tax rate. And one thing that I think the government absolutely must do is ensure public safety. So the fact that it is now a misdemeanor to assault a police officer or public safety official is got to be reversed. And
appalling. Yes, I agree.
We need to make sure that our budget goes towards ensuring public safety, and that's also what most of my businesses are around. It's not directly law enforcement, but it's tools for law enforcement, supply chain security, physical security, recovery for women and children. So yeah, like you said, there's a lot of things, but that's the first thing that comes to mind.
So I'm going to swing back one comment on that to the beginning, and then we're going to have to wrap up. But I love the fact that it supply chain security of persons. It's something you don't think about. I think the first time a lot of people thought about making sure that things like medicines get delivered securely, this is the first time during this COVID that people have thought about that.
Yeah.
How does this get to point A to point B? But that's a whole business that you've been in for years and years. Yeah. So you understand that. I think that's incredibly unique and valuable right now. As we wrap up, we're almost at the end. So is there anything you'd like to share that we haven't touched on very briefly, or any things you like to do aside from politics for fun? Anything you want to do with a couple of minutes?
Primarily, for what I was surprised about is the number of people not donating to candidates. I always kind of met, socialized, because the pharmaceuticals are inherently regulated by multiple levels of bureaucracy. So I always had to be around politics, never thought I would be in politics, and kind of casually donated to candidates that I connected with. And I never realized until now that, for example, my wife has cut off my personal spending, at the amount that the delegate makes in office, which isn't much. $17,000, I think, and I'm almost there. People do need to wake up, and it is disheartening to feel like so many people out there say you don't know it yet, but you've already lost, and because they think that the election's going to get stolen, or there's going to be fraud, or I'm just in a district that's too far gone. That might be true next year, but I don't think this year. I think this year is going to be it. We can either stop the radical agenda or not. So people need to wake up. They need to donate what they can. They don't need to. I'm trying to raise a ton of money because I aim high, but I think everybody needs to put some skin in the game, and also corporations need to. So many have played both sides of the aisle in the past. I'm finding that even my friends that could donate to me, that own businesses, are reluctant to, because of the R after my name.
Wow.
So we've got to. I mean, people have got to stop that. I mean, I've been talking to Glenn, and I'm like, if we've got to make a political party a protected class, like sex, age, religion, whatever, then so be it.
Mhm.
Well,
But
Greg, we have really enjoyed getting to know you today. You are a very impressive candidate. You have the benefit of being from Loudoun County, where Loudoun's on fire right now, as you know. Can you just give us your website and how people can get in touch with you?
sure, it's gregmoulthrop.com, MOULTHROP, is how you spell my last name. And I'm happy to, I review all the emails, campaign at gregmoulthrop.com. If anybody wants to get involved through volunteering, just yesterday I got 50 volunteers, so people are waking up. So
It's awesome.
So I'm always happy to have more, and always happy to hear about the priorities of people. What I've been talking about, I think, is my assumption, but always happy to hear other input. Also, I've been uniquely open to talking to the other side of the aisle. I've sat down with Democrats for 3 hours, listening to how ticked off they are at their own party and want to get back to the same big government, small government debate. And I said, I'm happy to earn your vote this election, even though you're not going to switch parties. So
that's an excellent. We need more of that, absolutely, because our ideas are excellent ideas. It doesn't have to be labeled. So
yeah.
Anyway, well, thank you for your time. This is wonderful. I think you're a very unique candidate. We enjoyed talking to you. So for those listeners and viewers out there, please check out our website SUVGOP.com. You can find a drop-down menu, which has all of our videos. We have our videos on YouTube. We've interviewed lots of great candidates, and we're looking forward to many more this campaign season since we have such a great crowd of them. Yeah, so Greg, good luck to you, and viewers and listeners, we'll see you on the next edition of Think Suburbia.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Wish you the best.
Appreciate it.